Hello and welcome to my latest video. In today's video we are going to be knitting some socks. Now these are small ankle socks. It is going to be from this book that I purchased quite a while ago, probably about 5-6 years ago. I've done a few patterns from this book, but the pattern I'm doing today isn't one that I've actually tried before. It's a sock that is knitted from the toe upwards. I normally do the socks the other way, so starting from like the top of the leg and go towards the toes, so that's going to be interesting for me. These are the items that I'm obviously going to be using, so I'm going to be using one of the patterns from this book, which I will share with you in a moment. I've chosen to use this wool. This wool I actually bought from a charity shop, and it's like it's a cotton kind of blend, this kind of yarn, so that's what I'm going to be using. I think it knits up more like a 4-ply, so yeah, so that's the wool I'm going to be using. Also going to be using double pointed needles, which are a size 2.75 millimeter. I don't think you can read that on there. These are actually quite old, and yeah, so you probably won't be able to read what size they are, because not all of them show it properly. That one's a little bit better. There you go. So 2.75. So this is the pattern that I'm actually going to be using. As you can see, they're more like trainer socks, so like shorter socks. They call them Sockies in this book, but I've always called them like trainer socks. Now in the photo you can see that they use all kinds of different yarns, and basically the whole idea of doing this type of sock is like to use like the leftover yarn from like previous projects. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be using like all one color, because this is from like I said, I picked this up at a charity shop and I want to use it. I think that'd be perfect for this. So that's what I'm going to be using. I don't know whether I mentioned, with the double pointed needles you need 5 of these. Yep, so this is definitely going to be interesting for the toe up socks. I've got to learn a different cast on. Now it's a cast on that I've never done before. It's going to be basically a crochet cast on, and then you are meant to be able to remove that chain after you're partway through, once you've like picked up your stitches for your toe, like to start off the toe. So I'm going to get on and do that, see how that works out. I'm not too sure, but let's go with it. So I'm just going to make a slip knot. Now I'm using a slightly bigger hook than the needles that I'm going to be using, just to see, just so that I've got some room on the foundation row. Now I believe the pattern needs 30 stitches, and it does say your cast on with this chain should be longer than the number of stitches that you need to pick up. So I think I'm probably going to start off with, if I need 32 stitches, let me just double check. Yeah, so I need 30 stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a chain of like 32 or 34, something like that, and then I will get back to you. Okay, so that is my chain. I did a chain of 34, and now I need to do my knit stitches. I need to go into like the back loops of these. I'm obviously going to do this with a knitting needle, but just to show you, so just to go into the back loops to actually do to create my stitches, so I'm going to get on and do that. Okay, so just so you can see what I've done, I actually ended up changing it to a different colour at the bottom because I thought it's going to be really difficult to keep it separate, because this is actually going to be removed once the toe's kind of on its way to being done. So so that's my 30 stitches to begin with, and then we're going to go into actually creating the toe. Okay, so we are going to start off with what they call the preparation row. So it is just going to be a purl row, this one, and then it looks like we're going to be trying to do some sort of like shaping with wrapped stitches. So I'm going to start off with the purl row, and hopefully get this going. It feels like my stitches are back to front though. That's the only issue with this cast on. And it might be the way I've cast on, but it feels like they're back to front. That's the preparation row, as they call it in the pattern. So we are going to go on to like the first row, which is asking us to do a knit to the last stitch, and then we've got to wrap the stitch, like wrap and turn. So that's going to be quite interesting. I think I've done this technique before, but it was a long time ago. I've just watched a YouTube video just to kind of refresh my memory a bit. So we'll see how this goes. We're going to be working these wrapped stitches for a little while by the looks of it for the toe. So I've just got to the last stitch where we're meant to be doing like the wrap and turn. So bring my yarn forward, slip the stitch across, round, and then I believe we've got to take it back that way, and then we are gonna purl this row and do the same at the end. Okay, and now we're ready for the purl wrap stitch. So taking the yarn on the other side of the work, slipping it across, and then moving it back and then turning. Okay, so on this row it is asking us to knit to the stitch before we've done the wrap stitch at the end. So we did it on the last one, so we're going to be taking it to the second one in, so second to last stitch on this one. Okay, so we're on the last 2 stitches. That one was our wrap stitch from previous, so we're going to be working on this one here. So I'm bringing it round the front, slip the stitch over, take the yarn back, and then we're going to slip that back across and turn the work. And then on this side we're going to be purling all the way down to the second to last stitch as the other row has done, and then continue, so bear with me. Okay, so we're just going to do the wrap stitch again. So because it's the purl, we're going to move the yarn on the other side of the work, slip it across, yarn round to the front again, and then slip the stitch and turn the work. Okay, so that's 2 wrapped stitches on either end of the work, so bear with me. So we have got to continue working the last 2 rows of that pattern over and over until we've got 8 stitches on 8 wrap stitches on each end of those sides, so one on the knit and on the purl side. So it says to end with a wrong side row, so I'm going to get on and work those off camera, and I will get back to you for the next section. Okay, so I have worked 8 stitches on either side. I should actually turn my work around because that's what it asked me to do on the last row. So I've done a total of about 16 rows to get to this point. And now this time we are going to be working the wrapped stitches into the work kind of thing. So we're going back the other way. So we are going to knit all the way to our first wrap, which is obviously going to be 8 stitches down. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, and then we're going to pick up the wrap and knit it in with that stitch on the needle. And then it asks us to do another wrap turn, just to turn the work to be able to go back the other way. So it's going to be 2 rows that we're going to be working across. So I'll do the first 2 with you, and then I will go away and kind of finish off what I need to do. Okay, so this is the first row. So knit all the way across. Okay, so we are going to work the wrap now. So pick it up at the front of the work, place it onto the needle, and then we are going to work these 2 knits together. Okay, so knit them together. Okay, and then it asks us to do another wrap and turn, so we're going to do a wrap on that stitch, move it across and turn. Okay, and then now there's only 7 stitches on this one now, on this needle, and then we are going to work across to on our purl side, so purl all the way across to our first wrap on this side. And then we are going to pick the wrap up on this side, but on the purl side we're going to try and take it from the front. So I don't know whether you can see that, but I'm going to take it from the front, pop it on the needle, and then purl these 2 stitches together. And then we're going to do our wrap and turn again, sorry. So move the yarn to the front, slip that stitch across, slip it back, and then turn the work, and you can see we've got 7 stitches on this side now. So we're going to continue until we've worked all of the wrap stitches on both sides. So I'm going to come back to you once all of that is done. Okay, so that is the toe section worked across the wrap stitches. As you can see, it's kind of like created like a little section for your feet to go in, obviously. Now the next section is to remove these stitches here and place all of the stitches on across like the 4 DPNs, because obviously one we're going to be using to knit with. Now I'm gonna have to take a break here because I need to go and cook dinner for the family, so I will get back to you when I'm ready to move the stitches across and like put them evenly across each needle. You've still got the 30 stitches here. I believe once we release these, we're going to have obviously the 30 stitches from this side as well, so it will probably be a total of 60, and then so we'll probably place 15 stitches on each needle, because we've got like the 4 needles and then one we'll be working with. Okay, so we are going to be removing these stitches here, so like the stitches that we like in the black yarn. Now with this, it's going to probably be a little bit awkward. I might drop a few stitches as we go, but we've got to end up with 60 in total. I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to undo my stitch marker and then take a needle and just get all the stitches on one needle, and then we'll do the separating once we know we've definitely got like the 60 stitches. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Okay, so I have separated the stitches onto the needles evenly, so I've got 15 on each of the needles. I've obviously got my spare one here to actually knit with. Now this is going to probably get a little bit confusing because I've got like a little towel end here. I might actually weave that in just to keep it out of the way for now. Now I've got to continue in a stocking stitch until this measures 5 inches or 12.5 centimeters, depending on which you prefer. Well, 5 inches is 12.5 centimeters, but you know, whichever, you know, where you want to measure. I normally deal with inches, so I'm going to go with the 5 inches. And it does say you can adjust the length here. So I'm not knitting these for anyone in particular, so I'm probably just going to follow the pattern and see what size it comes up at. I'm going to go on and do the first round, and then I will catch up with you in a little while once I've reached the desired length. Okay, so I've worked the 5 inches that it's asked, and so now we are going to be doing like the I believe it's like casting off some stitches and working just the bottom of the sole and the heel area. So I'm going to get on and do that. So according to the pattern, we have got to knit 34 stitches, cast off 22 stitches, and then I think knit a further 38 maybe. Yeah, 38 stitches. So I don't think I'm going to need to move my stitch marker. I've got a stitch marker in there to show where I'm up to, so that I know that when I'm knitting on the round I know where I'm going to per round. So I'm going to get on and do that, and then I'll get back to you once I have got the correct number of stitches on my my needle. Okay, so I've worked that row where we've ended up with 38 stitches in total on one needle, and we have cast off 22 stitches in this middle section here. So now I'm just going to be working the sole area, and now we need the work to measure 7.5 inches in total. So on this round, because we're going to be working back and forth, we're going to be doing a knit and then a purl row. So we're going to start off with a knit row because obviously I'm on a knit side, and then so it's going to be like a knit row, and then we're going to do a purl row. At each end of the purl row we've got like one knit stitch just for like the edges, as it were, although there won't technically be any edges because we'll be doing like a rib for like the top of the sock anyway. So anyway, I'm going to get on and do that and work it up until we get to like the 7.5 inches, to then start working the heel shaping. Okay, so I have knitted up until 7 inches. I'm not sure I'm going to go much further than that because I think I've done a quick measure of my own foot, and although my feet are quite on the smaller side, I think that's going to be a good length for the socks. So I now have to start working the heel. The next row I'm just going to be doing like a knit and a purl row, and then placing markers before the end of so after I've worked 4 stitches I'll be placing a marker and then purling the rest of the row, and then at the end placing another marker. Now I will put the markers in. I don't always work with stitch markers, but I will be putting them in because I am following a pattern. I'm assuming it's going to be where we're going to be doing like decreases or or something like that. So anyway, I am going to get on and place those markers and then start working the heel. Okay, so I've placed the stitch markers. So what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be doing similar to how we did the wrap stitches for the toe. So we're only going to be working the 30 stitches here, and we're going to do the wrap stitch at the was it the second? It's like the second stitch in from the end of those 30 stitches. So we're working to the last stitch and then we're going to be wrapping the stitch. Now when we do that, we're going to be working so that we have 8 wrapped stitches on each side, and then working the rows back down. So I'm going to get on and start doing that, and I'll go back to you when we are almost done with it. Okay, so I have worked the 8 wrap stitches on either side and turned my work. Now we're going to work our way back, which means we are going to be working these wrap stitches now. So so we're going to go to we're going to knit our row up until our first wrapped stitch. Okay, so this is our first wrapped stitch here, and we're going to pick it up and place it on the needle. Okay, I'll do that again so you can see. So we pick it up, place it on the needle, and then we're going to knit those 2 stitches together. Okay, and then we're going to wrap this stitch. And then we're going to turn the work. And now we're going to wrap the stitch on the purl side. Okay, and with this one, we are picking up the wrap stitch from this side, which is there. Place it on the needle, and then we're going to purl those 2 together. And then we are going to wrap this stitch and turn. We've worked one of our wrapped stitches. We're going to continue with that until we get to the last wrapped stitch, which is going to be slightly different because then we've got to work in these 4 stitches at the end that are just after the marker. So I'm going to do that off camera and get back to you when I'm at that stage where I'm working that last wrapped stitch at the end of the row. Okay, so I am back and I've got the 1 wrap stitch at either end that I've just got to work, and we're going to be working these 4 stitches back in. So start off with, we're just going to go straight across and knit to our wrapped stitch at the end. Okay, and just like before, we're going to be working the wrap stitch. So we pick up the wrap, which is, now we're going to work this, so knit these wrap stitches together. It is a little bit tight. I've probably kept it a little bit tight. I was trying to avoid any holes, if I'm honest, because I noticed around the toes I did have some holes appearing when I was working it, so I ended up putting a few stitches in. So it's not the end of the world if I have to do that, but I've kind of kept it quite tight on this end, which means it's taken a while to get in, so just bear with me. Okay, we're going to remove the marker and just knit these stitches. Again, I'm going to try and keep these stitches relatively tight. It's not the end of the world if I have to put another stitch in. And then with this row, yeah, it is just a knit on this row, isn't it? Yeah, it is a knit 4 on the end. It's the other row that's a little bit different. So with the other row, let me just turn that round. We are going to knit the first stitch, because that's what we were doing previously along the edges. So we're going to knit that stitch. Okay, and then we're going to purl all the way down to our wrapped stitch again. And this is our wrapped stitch again, so we are going to pick those up and then purl those stitches together. Okay, and then we're going to remove our stitch holder, and again we're going to purl the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then knit the final stitch on that row. And then we've worked across all of our wrap stitches, which has formed like the back of the heel, so you can see. Okay, so I was just having a quick read of the pattern. So so the final row for our heel looks like we are going to be casting off, so but we're also decreasing stitches at the same time. So we are knitting 2 together, and then we're going to knit the next 2 stitches together without splitting the string. Okay, and then we're going to take the first stitch that we knitted, so the first knit 2 together stitches, and you're going to pass that over the stitch. So we're going to do that all the way along and then fasten off. So I'll do next couple of stitches with you, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera. So 2 stitches there, and then pass that over. Okay, I'll get back to you once I'm at the end of the row. We're going to be working the cuff, or like the rib of the sock. So where I've just cast off, I'm going to be picking up and knitting 19 stitches against this side of the foot, 22 stitches along this cast off edge at the front of the foot, 19 stitches along this section, which is the other side of the foot, and then the back of the foot we are going to be picking up 18 stitches. So in total we should end up with 78 stitches. Now when I'm doing this, I am going to be trying to do this on camera if I can. It might be slightly difficult because of the positioning, and I might not be able to see properly, but I will give it a go. If not, I will turn the camera off and then come back to you once I've done that row of knit first of all, and then get back to you. Okay, so I have picked up and knitted all the way around, put them onto 4 different needles. Now with any cuffs or any rib, like the top of the socks, I always like knit in some elastic, just to give it, just to kind of keep it and give it a bit of stretch with the actual cuff. So I just attached that before I start doing like the pattern. So I've attached it over on this section, and then we'll weave in the edges when we get a chance. So I try and keep them separate, so I keep like that with my, you can see here, I'll just move it slightly. So I keep my wool and my elastic to one side, and then I use it as if it's like one. So to start off with, we are going to do a knit 1 stitch, purl 1 stitch to start off the rib, and the pattern is asking for 4 rounds for the cuff. Sorry, I've moved my camera. The pattern is asking for 4 rounds for the top of the sock. So I'm just going to start with that. Okay, so I've worked the 4 rounds of like the rib, and I've also kind of gotten rid of the elastic because I'm now at the point where I just need to cast off. Okay, so I have finished that sock. What I'm going to do is tidy this up, knit the other one, and I'll show you what they both look like once they're done. I'm not going to knit the second one on camera. I'm going to do it and then I'll come back to you when it's done. Okay, so I'm back with the finished socks. So this is what they look like at the end. I have given them a wash, and so that's the bottom, that's the top. They fit quite snugly on your feet, obviously, and yeah, pretty happy with them, the finish overall. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.